Guys, we have 3 hammers from Uncle Randy. Thank you very much. Scott, we'll start with you. This is a 12-team Superflex PPR, 1.5 for the tight ends, start 11. Stafford, Bryce, Nix, JJ McCarthy, and Darnold at quarterback. You have Spears, Kendre Miller, Lloyd at running back. You have Garrett Wilson, Neighbors, Downs, Cooks, Wandale at wide receiver, and then trash cans at tight end. Have a 25 first, but not mine. Which QBs would you sell? Do you try to get players or picks? Given I don't have my own 25 first, how do you navigate rebuilding without your first? So that's the second question here. But what do you think, Scott? 12-team Superflex, start 11.
Yeah, at first I'm going, man, that kind of sucks. You don't have your own first because this is definitely a team that is definitely a year away. But I'll say, I mean, what quarterbacks to sell, just to answer the first question off the rip, all of them. Any of them you can sell. You probably can't sell McCarthy right now. You're better off holding him, but definitely trying to sell Sam Darnold, definitely trying to sell Matt Stafford. Bryce Young, I think it's fair to say he might not be as bad as last year, but to say he has any upside, like you're hoping he becomes QB 15 to 20, somewhere like that. Like, I think after last year, it's hard to envision a ceiling for him. And then Bo Nix, same thing. Like, if you believe in Bo Nix, there's going to be a market for him. He looked good in the preseason. So I think this team is, even without my first, we'll get to that in a second, I'm not really concerned about trading any of my quarterbacks here. Like, I don't think my QB room is built for the future with this. So any of them I could sell. I'd love to get my own first back. But if I see a team like this that has these assets and they're starting to sell them off, that first, I need Malik Neighbors to trade away the first.
Exactly.
Like I'm going to take a piece. Right. I'm going to need a piece from you that you don't want to give up to get your own first back because you're just spinning your wheels. So I would trade every quarterback here that somebody wants.
Shane, thoughts here? You're just putting all the quarterbacks on the block, right? Let the market tell you what they want, if anything. Or Scott says, don't even sweat that. Focus going elsewhere.
Who cares which one I like? Because they're all the same, like value-wise. Obviously Stafford's the best. I would assume people would pay the most for him, but you never know. Nix has a good camp, so maybe people want to buy him. Problem with JJ McCarthy, and I know this is JJ McCarthy, a guy that rosters him in a couple leagues, and the offers I've seen, people are already trying to lowball you. So probably not JJ McCarthy. I'd probably be holding on to him until he's able to walk and stuff because his value will increase.
All right, let's move to Trevor's Golden Locks. Thank you very much for the 2 hammers. Appreciate it. Shane, we'll start with you. This is a 10-team 2QB, half PPR, start 9. You have Josh Allen, T-Law, Geno at quarterback, ETN, Ken Walker, Spears, Pollard, Warren at running back, A.J. Brown, Waddle, Debo, Cup, JSN, Ridley, and then you have Laporta and Ferguson at tight end. Rookie draft coming up, and I have the 105, 109, 209, no third. Coming off a second place finish, looking to contend. What do I do with these picks? He said he'd love to get up to 103, but let's and he says DTI 5 is the best. Thank you very much. Shane, what are you doing here? Again, 10-team, 2QB, start 9, half PPR. Rookie draft coming up. What are you doing with the 5, 9, and 209?
I would absolutely say yes. I want to try to move up and go get Malik Neighbors, but are you actually going to be able to do that? Now it's a 2QB. I know it's only 10 by 9, but I would think at least, well, not maybe 3 QBs should get off the board. But I guess if you want to secure him, you do have to move to 103. Sure. What are you adding to it? The 109 and the 209? You have a lot of redundancy at wide receiver already. I don't know how I feel about just adding additional wide receivers at 105, 109. Sure. Can you use them to get a hammer? If you can do that, great, do that. But who are you going to use? You're going to try to use Debo. He's not very liked on the market. Cup is old, so it's going to be hard to add anything. Maybe JSN. I don't know. Can you, if you can't do the Malik Neighbors deal, can you move the 109 and JSN for something better? Probably not an elite wide receiver, most assuredly not an elite wide receiver, but maybe a actual wide receiver too.
Scott, what are you doing here? Because you have a decent QB room, right? Josh Allen, T-Law, Geno, you're probably not sweating it that much. What are you looking to do with the 5, 9, and 209?
Yeah, it's interesting because 10-teamer, we would say devalues QB, but then the 2 QBs brings it back in a little bit. You're actually in the the spot where the tier is going to break. You're at the 105. So, yeah, you may have to settle for a Dunze, but I would send out an offer of I'd do the 105 and the 109 to get the 104 or the 103 because Neighbors or a quarterback is going to be there. Neither of them are a need. I'd probably rather have Neighbors on this team. But if you feel those four are just a tier above, and I think that's fair, most people in here would say those four are above everybody else in this class. 10 by 9, give me one of those studs. That's your best shot at a hammer, unless you really believe in a Dunze. But I'm probably trying to move up one spot, and what am I giving up? Xavier Worthy, Jonathan Brooks, someone like that at the 109. I mean, I'm okay punting that to get one of those potential hammers. And I would just live with it's Neighbors or Daniels or Caleb. Any of the three, I'm fine, but I have to move to 104 to get it. So that would be my advice.
Sounds good. And Shane, just real quick here, he says, if not, make the pick / trade for vets. Would you look to maybe trade for a vet in this case too? The 109, what can we buy with the 109? Not even sweating it, just taking new stuff.
I mean, what's the vet? Again, it doesn't. If it's someone elite, sure.
Jahmyr Gibbs
for the 105.
You move up, and then you're trying to trade the 104 for a vet. Like it's essentially Shane. How many players do you value above Malik Neighbors? And I know in Shane's mind, you don't even probably care for the QBs outside of the top 3 or 4, which you're not getting. So it's what? 6 players better than Neighbors? Maybe 7.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, it's going to have to be an elite wide receiver. So running back would be fine. I'd be willing to give up the 105, assuming I can't get up to get Neighbors. I'll give up the 105 for Gibbs, despite the fact that apparently he might never walk again either. A lot of injuries this week. It's Tuesday. It's terrible.
So Brian Hund was the first in the comments when I set up the stream. He says, can't wait for tonight's show. Well, here's tonight's show. It's a 12-team Superflex, PPR, no tight end premium start 10. Give Kyler, get AJ Brown. Already have Dak and Goff with 5 backup quarterbacks. 1 last year and could use the hammer at wide receiver. Thoughts? Thank you. Go ahead, Scott. What do you think? You're giving Kyler, getting AJB. 12-team Superflex start 10.
I won't speak for Shane, but I will hypothesize that he would also take Kyler in this trade. However, sometimes you have 3 QBs like this. If you're willing to live dangerously with Dak and Goff, then this may be the best deal you get for any of your QBs. This might be it. You may say, everyone in the chat will go, trade Goff, and then the best offer you're getting is like Jordan Addison. Try to trade Dak. The best offer you're getting is Michael Pittman. Like immediately you go, I don't really want to do that. So maybe this is your best chance to get a hammer, and you have to give up your best QB. But if you're willing to gamble on Dak and Goff as your QB room with playing the backup quarterback game, Brian, you're doing it right. So I'm fine taking the AJ Brown side here.
Yeah,
this would have to be a 6-point per passing touchdown for me. Sorry to cut you off, Shane. Go ahead. What are you doing? What do you need on top of AJB? Sorry.
I don't need on top of because my league already shows that they don't really give a shit about quarterbacks. So I can't get more than this. If I could, I wouldn't have Dak, Goff, and who's the other guy? Kyler. Yeah. I mean, he says he needs a wide receiver. How bad are your wide receivers that you're willing to give up Kyler goddamn Murray for it? I'm not giving up Kyler Murray for AJB. I'm not. I don't care. No.
Okay. So what's the alternative? What range? If you said, okay, I'm keeping Kyler in a start 10, what's the alternative? You're going shopping with Goff and Dak. What would you need to trade Dak, Shane? I'll give you Michael Pittman. You doing it?
I'm more comfortable with that now. Yes.
I'll give you Devontae Smith.
No.
More.
No.
But here's the thing. Like the league probably, especially if it's 4-point per passing touchdown, like you said, Clay, they're probably looking at Goff going like, sure, I'll take him, but is he really that big of an upgrade over somebody's Kirk Cousins or Aaron Rodgers? Like maybe, but the person that has them in this individual league may just go, no, I don't need him right now.
I mean, it's close. The problem is that, looking at the QB room again, he said, he is Goff, Dak, and Kyler, but then 5 backup quarterbacks. I saw it the first time I saw it because I wasn't paying attention. For some reason, I thought he had like 5 other starting quarterbacks, but no, he's got. I'm just going to hold. I'd rather start Kyler every week, unless his wide receivers is just decrepit, which they can't be because he just won the title. Millhouse has smashed AGB. I don't know under what world that in the Superflex that Kyler, AJ Brown for Kyler is a smash. It's not a smash. It's something that I'm contemplating, and there are probably leagues I would actually do this, but I think I'm going to hold on to Kyler.
This is a bigger discussion that we have to probably save for a future show, but the change in Dynasty, you're already seeing it. A year ago on this stream, people would have gone, sell AJ Brown for the quarterback. Regardless, it doesn't matter what you're just take that quarterback value. Doesn't it feel like in leagues, a lot more people kind of play nice now and they only really kind of want the stuff that they need? Like there's how little do you see just pure value hoarding across leagues now compared to like 2 years ago? It's much less frequent, I think. Maybe that's just the circles we run in, but feels like the team with the 3 QBs here better make a move. Otherwise, they're just going to sit there and they're always going to have an issue.
Yeah, look, and you might end up taking a loss on moving Dak or Goff, but I'd much rather do that than feeling like I'm taking a loss on Kyler, who, again, I am a strong proponent of Kyler.
Yes, you are. Yes, you are. Here, let's go to you on this one, Scott. This is 3 hammers from Chair Force 1. Thank you very much. He says, we back again. This is a 8-team Superflex, half PPR, start 12. Love Tua Stafford at quarterback, Brees, JT, ETN, Mixon at running back, Amon-Ra, Tyreek, Nico, Olave, Amari, Mike Evans, and Diggs. And then you got Kittle at tight end. Trade a random 25 first and 226 first for AJ Brown. What are you doing here, Scott? 8-team, start 12, Superflex.
It is shallow. Even though it is a start 12, it is also an 8-team league. So if you flip those in a 12x8, we would be saying I'd be okay trading 2 firsts for a hammer. I guess my question is, this league probably has some other stacked teams. Meaning we look at his team, we're going, man, he's rolling out Amon-Ra, Hill, Nico, Olave, Amari, Evans, Diggs. There's going to be a lot of spike weeks. There's a lot of targets in those 7. But then you probably look at 4 other teams and they're rolling out 8 receivers that are all like in the same range. I'm okay with it. 12x8, give me the best player. Definitely a starter here. I'm cool with it.
Shane, which side you taking? Are you giving 3 firsts for AJ Brown in this case?
It's start 8, right? Start
8. 12. 8.
Start 12. It's 8 teams. Start 12. So those firsts. Well, no,
you're going to confuse Shane all over because it's a start 12, but it's an 8-teamer. So you can literally flip them probably.
I will give up the firsts for AJ Brown.
I hope Chair Force 1 takes that as like gospel right there from Shane. Like
I'm just thinking it through. I'm just thinking it through because we were in the Discord and we were talking about like a trade similar to this, where someone was giving up 3 firsts to get Chase. Obviously, Chase is a little more higher valued. And there were a couple people that said, no, they wouldn't do that. They wouldn't give up Chase. And a couple other people, well, it's just 3 firsts. You got to give up 3. You could get 3 firsts for a player. You do it. Well, where are these firsts? So I know they're random, but you probably have some idea. The other fact is the other 2 are in 2026. So that's a layaway. Those don't really kill me right now.
The only thing I would say here is that this now pushes Joe Mixon, Mike Evans, and Stephon Diggs to my bench. Is it a little? Am I killing my flexibility in August by doing this deal right now when literally it is a start 12? But if you remove 2 quarterbacks, right, all of a sudden you're pushing 1 or 2 of your current starters who are clearly good enough in the short term to start. You're putting them on the bench. Do I need to do this deal right now?
Well,
I don't think I do. The more that I think about it,
there is also can I trade one of these other wide receivers for a future first? Can I recoup some of that money that I just spent? Could I get a future first for Diggs? You couldn't get it for Amari.
I'll just say this:
absolutely crazy.
Reading between the lines, though, the fact that he already has 3 firsts, I wonder how many teams, if you try to, here's what you'd have to do, Shane. You'd have to trade the guy you don't want to trade. Because I'm betting that like an Evans or a Diggs or a Mixon are not an upgrade to most people's lineups, right? So maybe you trade Olave for 2 firsts. All of a sudden, you're cooking. You know what I mean? You're right back to where you were, and you got A.J. Brown instead.
So Janikowski, I don't know if this is his league, I guess. He's saying that none of the first can be, the worst they could be is 108.
Is the 108. Yeah.
So let's say it's the 104, 106, 108. You know what? Do I really want to give that up for A.J. Brown at that point? I'm assuming these are late. I don't know. I mean, the 226 picks is really very non-committal tonight. Like, I am just easily swayed.
I want Josh Allen on this team. If I'm going to be like slinging first around and stuff, I'm going to address quarterback. Try to do that first, or Bijan probably ahead of AJ Brown in the half PPR. I don't know.
Yeah, Clay, don't you feel feel gross starting Stafford or Tua when everybody else probably has better QBs? Yeah, I'm with you.
Okay. Sheriff Force One, thank you very much for those hammers. Much appreciated. So we had a question from Alex, of course, early in the stream. Not a strategy question, but it is an important question. He says, are we worried about CD's contract situation extending into the season at all? Whoever wants to start, go ahead.
No.
I mean, it's funny. Like, all the players that are going like high in drafts have something going on, right? I mean, Jefferson's quarterback, Chase holding out, McCaffrey injured, Lamb holding out, Jahmyr Gibbs injured, Puka Nacua injured. Like, you're almost looking through, I'm going through some of these underdog drafts, and I'm like, man, like half of these guys are just
slaughtered.
Give me the one that doesn't have any drama. But is it just that drama is very common when you get to these high-end players? Is that some of this just going to continue to be the case? I think so. So I don't have any issues. CD's going to play. Jamar Chase is going to play. They're not going to not play. Now, if you want to say them not practicing and being on bad terms with the team, like maybe that could matter. But yeah, not much. Not going to affect his value at all.
No, it serves no purpose for him. He can't hold out in season because what's he going to do? He just can't. He just can't. He doesn't have any. And I saw someone upset about this on Twitter. Leverage. What's his leverage? I mean, obviously, him being the best wide receiver, one of the best wide receivers in the league. Yeah, Patrick Price noted. Tyreek actually drama free, 100%. All he's doing is making babies and getting contracts. That dude's no drama for real, honestly. But it would hurt CD more to sit out in season than it would help him. So I don't think he's going to sit out in season.
All right, let's move on to a hammer from Everest. Thank you very much, Shane. This will be yours. This is a 12-team Superflex PPR. There is a 0.1 point per carry. So every rush attempt is 0.1. It's a start 10. Hurts, Baker at quarterback. You have Ken Walker, Zamir White, Brain Rob at running back. Pickens, BTJ, Pearsall, and Burton, Troy, Baker. That's such a bad read. At wide receiver, Otten, Michael Mayer, Stover at tight end. 225 first, 225 seconds. All futures. Not a great team, he says, or she says. Trying to rebuild. Nobody wanted my picks during the draft. Had to sit. Managed to trade back from the 109 to 111. Gave the 109 and a 25 first. Got Baker and a 25 first and third. Okay, there's a lot of stuff in here. How would I continue this rebuild? League is not that active during the offseason. Got this league last year. Most trades, other dudes always want to win. Okay, so it sounds like you have to. Somebody wants to feel like they really won the trade for a trade to get done.
I mean, go back to that Baker deal. Don't do.
Why did we give up a first and the 109 to get a lower pick? And maybe the difference in the picks are going to be favorable. I don't know.
So the 25 first, I'm assuming, is from one of the teams that's a winner. The way he described is only.
Hopefully, we didn't give up our own for a worse one.
And the 25 first we're getting back is from a bad team. Maybe it's not the winners. I don't know. I hate that trade.
Our team's pretty bad, Shane. Hopefully we didn't give up our first.
I would say don't trade your first. Right?
We do not want to trade the first by any means. No.
Don't trade your first. Send Zamir White for a 25 second. Yes. Do that. What else is the rest of his team? Like, he doesn't even have a lot of assets that we could move.
Well, I think that the best advice for this question is this is clearly not a contending team, right?
K-Dub's got to go.
But
Rain
when
Rob.
I don't have a contending team, the last thing I'm thinking about is trading for a guy like Baker Mayfield for a year from now, right? Like that. My focus would be on a non-contender. What are you getting rid of on this team, Shane? Everything.
Do you think? Hold on, he traded for Javon Baker. Or no. Okay, yeah, okay. He's got 2 Bakers. Okay,
please
okay.
hope it was not Javon Baker in that deal, or it's worse.
Either way, it's a Baker. It's a Baker. So
it's a Baker.
Sorry, but yeah, as you were, Scott, you were saying.
No, let's just live to survive another day. You can't go backwards.
Yes, you got to show.
Sell Zamir White and sell pretty much everything else. Nothing is untouchable on that team. Even Jalen Hurts, you may have to split.
I mean, the wide receivers you just drafted. The wide receivers you just drafted are all for sale too. If you get enough price or enough value back.
Let's go to 3 hammers from Jeff. Thank you very much. Scott, we'll start with you on this one. This is a 12-team Superflex PPR 2.0 for the tight ends. Start 10. First down bonuses as well. It says first year vet draft and rookie draft. Opposite order, both snake. Burrow, Baker at quarterback. We have James Cook, Henry, Mixon, and Trash at running back. Amon-Ra, Olave, Waddle, Adunze, Allen, Diojon at wide receiver, Freiermuth, and Henry at tight end. Traded Harrison, Chase Brown in the 302 for Adunze, Waddle, a 25 first and 26 second. Thoughts, team? Where do I need to work / improve to make a run year 1? Talent is mostly spread out. Not much movement. Okay. So Scott, 12 team, start 10. It is 2.0 for the tight ends. What are you doing here? The question was, the trade was Harrison, Chase Brown, and a third for Adunze, Waddle, 25 first, 26 second. What do you think?
Well, Jeff gave us 3 hammers, so we'll spend a little bit of time on this one. I'm fine with that trade. Your team didn't have a ton of assets. You were able to move and get Waddle and Adunze and a first. Like, I don't want to trade Marvin Harrison, but I'm okay with that package coming back, especially a 2 PPR league where receivers are slightly maybe devalued just because tight ends hit the flexes a little bit more. I'm still a little confused. Shane, did you have any insight on the vet draft and rookie draft opposite order, both snake? Is it?
I think it's
like, is there a
3rd round
vet
reversal
draft
snake?
Well, but was that in the startup or what?
Yeah, that's what I took that to mean. You only do that in the startup. Like if I get the 112 in the startup, I get the 101 in the rookie draft.
But how is that relevant? Because he already drafted a team. Does that?
I don't know. He's just letting you know how he built the team, bro. He just wants you to understand.
I think that's what it is because it's the first year. Yeah, just explaining how it went down.
Well, for anybody that's watching, if you ever have the option, take the last pick in the startup for the 101 versus, I mean, I like Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes, but it's not worth the 101 for the 112 when you could still get, I'm guessing he got Burrow at the 111, right? Because he ended up with Marv. So obviously he was able to get one of the top 2 picks probably. Yeah.
Shane, what are your thoughts here on this trade? You traded Marv, Chase Brown, 302 for Adunze, Waddle, 25 first, 26 second.
It's fine. I mean, you're getting a Adunze, Waddle, and a 25 first back. Can I move a Adunze for more picks now? I'm really getting scared. Although, from everything, everyone's on Twitter saying Keenan Allen is 267 pounds. So maybe we don't have to worry about a Adunze not getting to start this year. Apparently, Keenan Allen's enjoying deep dish pizza way too much. So,
Shane, have you ever seen a 6-foot tight end with like a 33 BMI?
Yeah, Keenan Allen. I mean, the deal's fine. You got enough value back. You definitely got enough value back. You got a couple first and a Adunze, so it's good. It's a good deal.
This team is getting destroyed at tight end in this format. Freiermuth and Hunter Henry. You're just preying on a touchdown, right?
Yes.
I don't know if this team really knows what direction it is, right? Because we still have guys like Henry, Mixon, Keenan Allen, Deontay Johnson. You know what I mean? Like, we kind of have other pieces we would want to move. Like, this team feels like it's too good to be bad, but not good enough to be good. So it's literally stuck in the middle. So you got to make some more moves.
Yeah, that might have made his trade better then because he got that
Yes.
25 first, that extra piece. So, all right, rock and roll. So we are 25 minutes in. We have 689 eyeballs or 689 people watching. Thanks so much. Hit that like if you'd be so kind. Easiest way to help out the channel. If you're new and you're watching, welcome. I should have said this earlier, but when we say start 9 or start 10, what we're talking about is how many players you start in your lineup each week, not including kicker and defense. So I should have said that earlier, but you will hear us reference that constantly for the next hour and 10 minutes or what have you. And we got something big coming on at the end of this stream. So hang on till the end from 10 to 10:30. Okay, let's keep on rocking here. We will go back to another starred comment. Alyssa, where you been? Thank you for the question. This is a 12-team Superflex PPR start 11. I'm a rebuilding team. Would you trade Amon-Ra St. Brown for Marv, a 25 and 26 second? Okay, so you're trading Amon-Ra for Marv, a 25 second, 26 second. You guys are still the best. Thank you. Appreciate it, Alyssa. What do you think, guys?
Yeah, rebuilding team. Marv is the upward moving asset probably here. Amon-Ra is great, but I think when you say he's peaked, probably Shane, wide receiver 4, 5, 6, like that's probably where he is.
Yeah, but I mean, it's not like his peak is bad. The dude's absolutely
no. But
yeah.
I think on a rebuilder, you almost look at these receivers as basically the same, and you're getting 2 seconds and they start 11. I mean, that process just says you're not downgrading to Roma Dunze here. You know what I mean? You're literally moving within the same tier and don't care about the year one production. So I'm taking the seconds.
Without looking at KTC rankings, I believe Marv might be ahead of Amon-Ra St. Brown. So you're actually getting the more no.
No, I'm just shaking my head. It's bonkers that's the case.
Malik Neighbors is right behind Amon-Ra, Clay. Like literally, we have 2 rookie receivers inside the top 6.
Yeah.
So you're losing absolutely nothing in value, gaining 2 seconds, which is those are 2 starters and a start 11. Yep. So I love that deal, Alyssa. And I forget what were we arguing about last year? Chris Olave against who did she have?
Jerry Jeudy.
Hey, Alyssa.
Yeah. So okay. Let's go to this one that was starred from Chasing Breakers. Scott, you can address this first. Hey guys, thanks as always for the great insight and advice. You are welcome. I'm wondering how you approach trying to acquire rookies after they're drafted, but before they hit. Any advice on timing and tactics? What do you think, Scott?
Oh, we could do a whole 15-minute segment. Maybe we do this in a different video, but this was a major topic that came up over the weekend at the Fantasy Football Expo, was how player evaluation / conviction is starting to gain more steam back in the community. I like to think shows like ours that have been preaching process and war and roster construction, and it's really kind of resonated with the whole Dynasty community a little bit more than it has in the past. So I think we're getting back to, you got to have a little more conviction. Even if I've noticed it with my own teams this year, I have to have a little more conviction on the players that I'm just going to blanket sell for a third, sell for 2/4. If I have no conviction, then that's fine. But I've had to think a little more through, okay, what is really the path for this player? Even if I'm getting a little less than what I think, is the market really going to view this player in a certain way? So I think it's the same as if you're buying. If you have conviction that Jalen McMillan will take over for Chris Godwin and it'll happen earlier rather than later, then go get him. But I think that's becoming more and more prevalent. I don't know if Shane has any thoughts on it, but I do think it's just a conviction thing. If you're going to buy a rookie, Javon Baker, right? If you're going to buy Javon Baker before he really does anything, what you're paying is the price to buy him off the team who probably already liked him because that is the team that drafted him, because they're going, I'm waiting till somebody likes my Javon Baker. So you're feeding right into somebody else's process. But it's okay sometimes because you may be right.
Yep. That's why you got to disguise getting the Javon Bakers of the world too, right? Just like a little toss-in piece. Shane, were you going to say something about?
I mean, I did an episode on making bets on players. One of the players was a higher end one, Malik Neighbors, and I pretty much advocated selling your soul for him. So, yeah, I'm all in on making bets on players. And, the fun thing about a Javon Baker, a Jalen Polk, a Ricky Pearsall, anyone in that range, going all in consists of usually giving up a second. Seconds, giving up, I'm not saying give up every second from here to infinity, but giving up one here or there is not going to absolutely kneecap your team. It's just not. Sure. Would you like to have that second back when Javon Baker is the wide receiver 7 on the New England Patriots and you need a running back in week 14? Sure. But you know what? You have a 26 second. Use that. So I'm okay with it. Doing it sparingly, judiciously.
Can I give a shout out to Shane who used what exactly is a kneecapping a team?
It's
putting a kneecap on your team.
You take.
I got it. Yeah.
I got where you were going, but I
swing,
think
yep.
kneecapping your team is kind of a weird way to phrase it. Love you, Shane. I love the Shaneisms. That was a good one.
There's only one.
Shout out to me for absolutely wrecking Alyssa last year.
Oh,
she was wrong. Yes, Jerry Jeudy has hurt many, many people. Alyssa, you are not the first. Just give up on him now, though.
No, don't give up on him. Well, maybe, unless it's a start 14. Okay, let's go to 3 hammers from Hank the Cat. Shane, we're going to start with you here. So this is a 1 QB. PPR 1.75 for the tight end, start 9. I guess, are we going to assume it's a start 10? I can't see any indication. Are we going to assume this is a start 10 or start 12? Do we want to make it a start 12 to be cooler?
It's a start 9.
Or I'm sorry. How many teams?
10.
You want to go 10? Okay. 10 team, 1 QB, PPR, tight end premium, start 9. It's very shallow. Hurts at QB. You've got Gibbs, Mixon, Javonte, Warren, Chase Brown at running back. You have Marv, JSN, Addison, Pickens, Judy, Dotson. Then you have Pitts, Hawkinson, and Mayer at tight end. I have a likely top 2 or 3 pick in the first and second in 2025. Thinking I could trade the early 25 first for a vet like Evans after a few games, as I'm likely weakest at wide receiver. I know, Shane. Hold on. Then trade the early 25 second for a running back as teams fall out of contention. Reasonable? No, maybe that's second for Evans. But anyway, we'll get to that. Shane, this is a 1 QB, 10 team, start 9. What are you doing with this team? At least Jalen Hurts. Like, check that box. Perfect for this format, right?
I mean, can I give up JSN for Mike Evans? I'll do that. Jordan Addison for Mike Evans. George Pickens for Mike Evans. Because one of those dudes out of the 4 I just named, I know is going to give me at least top 15 production. And it ain't the other guys. It's Mike Evans. I'm not apt to give up a first there. Although it is 1 QB, right? And it is start 9. So if that pick is later, it's really not going to be all that valuable, to be quite honest with you. But I'd prefer not to use it that way in getting Evans. I'm fine with using a second to get a running back if I need it. But if you have Gibbs, Mixon, Javonte, and Warren, and Chase Brown, I don't think you need a running back. You do not have a running back problem at all. So it looks like I'm not giving up any of these assets for anything you want to do right here.
Well, let's step back here, Hank. So it's a 10-team start 9. And we're assuming it's 10 teams, right? We're definitely not giving up first rounders for Mike Evans. But if other people are, because this might be one of those weird ones where, like, that's what Mike Evans costs is a first. Because the person that has him is like, this is a Hall of Fame player. I don't care if he's 49 years old. I need a first, right? Now, I'm not going to acquiesce to that. But can I trade other things for first if what's true is what he says second, that I can trade a second for a running back as Shane talks to the air. But the point is, like, can I kind of hack my way to getting more firsts, use my second to buy and fill a need maybe later on in the season, but it's a start 9. Look at my lineup. Like, will somebody give me a first for Javonte Williams? How about Jordan Addison? You know, like, I'll take a first for those guys and just stash the first. And if I ever need to replace Javonte Williams or Jordan Addison with something, then that's when I'll throw out my second to try to get comparable gross production. But I think you can sell from the excess here and still have a chance to win. One of my tight ends. I don't need Hawk and Pitts in a 10-team start 9. I mean, maybe you're flexing one so you can move another one of the pieces.
So speak to the likely top 2 or 3 pick in the first and second in 2025. So let's say crystal ball, Shane, it is the 102 in 2025. Is that thing going in a vault and you're rolling this team out there and seeing how it does before even considering moving that?
Yeah, I'm not looking to move most any 25 first, to be honest with you. But if it looks like it's going to be top 5, top 6, you're absolutely not getting that back from getting that from me unless you are giving me an elite asset. So,
Yeah.
do you have Gibbs?
Shane,
do you have his cousin? I'll take him.
It's got to be an upgrade to my lineup, right? I'm starting Hurts,
Right.
Gibbs, Mixon, AJ Brown, Marvin Harrison, Pitts, and Hawk. Technically, Hawk's probably not going to start right away, but he's a starter in a 175 here because you have him. So, like, I need an upgrade on someone in the comparable range to the 7 or 8 starters I already have.
Would you
would you
give it up for Amon-Ra?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's what I need.
That's an upgrade.
Form. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's an upgrade.
Yeah. It's going to be
I'm not doing it for Brandon Ayuk or for Travis Etienne.
No.
That's not an upgrade. It fits in my lineup, but I'm looking at, okay, Travis Etienne is better than Joe Mixon, but not at the price of giving up my top 3 first. So it's just got to be an upgrade.
Good stuff there. So Jalen Ramsey, 2 hammers from him. He says, first hammer, sorry for not donating sooner. No, not at all. Not at all. I think I remember us cracking on you last stream. 811 people watching, by the way. Hopefully we can breach the 1,000 mark. I don't know if you guys sent out a tweet recently. I
did.
Retweet. Yeah. I'm sure you did. Okay, so he says, you answered my question on how many quarterbacks are more valuable than CD in a 10-teamer last week, where you said 3 at most. I just dropped a YouTube short on that one, actually. Would this number change in a half PPR? Would this make the RB1 more valuable than any wide receiver? Side question, how do you start wide receivers differently when they're facing off against me? So, Scott, we'll start with you on this one, but I do remember his question, and we went through like, hey, in a 10 team, or when are you going to take a wide receiver? Like it was even in like the CJ Stroud conversation, but he's moving the question from a PPR in that case to a half PPR. So is Bijan now in the picture in the first round?
You could argue. I hate to go back to underdog, but underdog's half PPR. I know it's best ball, but Bijan, Breece Hall, they are firmly right there with, now you can't make transactions or trades, so it's a different story. But yeah, they're right there in the top 4 or 5 players, 6 or 7 players. Like there's going to be a couple quarterbacks you take. There's probably 1 or 2 receivers, but right there, if you're taking Bijan or Breece, you could argue, Shane, over half PPR. You could argue if you really have conviction on Bijan or Breece, they are the number 1 skill player in a half PPR. Now, long-term investment, is it better than having Justin Jefferson on your team? Probably not. But you could argue they're right there ahead of even Amon-Ra, Marv, etc. So I think they're right there. It's just the quarterbacks are devalued. Unless I can tell that my quarterback is going to finish QB 3 or higher, it's hard for me to consider a quarterback just given how flat it's probably going to be.
Yeah, and CD, even in a half PPR league, outside of Tyreek Hill and Amon-Ra St. Brown, he still cleared every other wide receiver by 5 points a game. That is more valuable to me than a quarterback outscore. Because what if you get at the low end of that quarterback range? What?
No, for me, you're like robot blurry guy. Shane, Scott,
robot blurry guy.
Whatever Shane was saying, it had to be censored and blurred. That's for sure.
It was 2 seconds delayed and all sorts of stuff. I'm sure.
What other tabs did you have open, Shane? What were you trying to
Nothing. I have my general Philadelphia internet going right now.
We got some incognito windows.
Yeah.
Okay. Did we answer Jalen Ramsey's question? Well, I just cut you off there. I was just laughing. I don't know.
Put a number on it, Shane. Half PPR. How many quarterbacks above Bijan?
Above Bijan? Jalen Hurts.
Forget the receivers. Just
Josh
where
Allen.
Would you take Bijan if there was no options for receivers?
Lamar Jackson, Kyler Murray,
Patrick Mahomes.
Thank you. Patrick Mahomes. Who am I missing?
let's move on.
Now you've
Because
made
earlier
Burrow
Shane
and
was
Herbert.
trading Kyler Murray for AJ Brown, and now we're taking Kyler Murray.
No, I 100% wasn't sure if I was moving Kyler Murray or not for that deal. I'm still not sure if I
Are
would
you
do
really
that deal or
taking
not.
Kyler over Bijan in any format?
Absolutely. Just the respect. Just the respect. Disrespect of Kyler Murray. It's just absurd.
I've never been so confident about directing this next question to Scott. Shane needs to zone out for a second. That's what I learned after hosting so many shows with you. This is the time to let Shane rest.
This has a lot of backslashes in it between every player.
Oh, goodness. Okay. All right. So this is a hammer from don't_matter07. Thank you very much. Scott, this is a 12-team, 1 QB, PPR, 1.5 for the tight ends, 6-point per passing touchdown, start 10. Defending champ. Nicely done. Stroud, Tua at quarterback, Zamir White, Pacheco, Aaron Jones, and Trash at running back, Hill, Ayuk, Marv, Flowers, Cooper at wide receiver, Schultz, Hawkinson at tight end. Has his 25 first, all 26s and futures, sent Jonathan Taylor, Devontae Smith a 25 third for Zamir, Neighbors, and a 25 second. Then sent Neighbors in the second for Marv. Thoughts? Already talked to Shane about these on the X machine. Any other moves you'd be looking to make, like tearing down from Stroud? What are you smiling about over there, Scott?
Well, I think getting essentially Neighbors, and you got Zamir White and a second thrown in for JT, Devontae Smith, and a third. That's a great deal.
Awesome deal.
So then you took what you saved and you paid the extra second to go from Neighbors to Marv, which I'm okay doing that if that's what you want to do. So essentially you turn JT, Devontae Smith, a second and a third into Zamir White and Marvin Harrison. So you absolutely are out ahead like 50% on that trade. 6-point per passing touchdown. It is a 1 QB. Would I upgrade from Stroud? Yeah, but what do I have to pay to upgrade from Stroud? It's a 1 QB. Can I go to Allen or Mahomes? 6-point, I'm actually not in a rush to move from like Lamar Jackson to or CJ Stroud to Lamar Jackson, right? Like I'm fine with Stroud being QB 4 to 10, and I can live with that. So it's very much like, what QBs can I upgrade? Sure, we've talked all summer about, okay, Stroud's probably overvalued at QB 3 or QB 4, but if there's a format when it's 1 QB where you're probably not getting the equity for Stroud that you would want, like this might be the one where you stick with him. My advice would be, if I'm rolling with Stroud, can I go get Diggs and Tank Dell on this team instead of Zay Flowers and Amari Cooper? You know what I mean? Like, can I just, if I'm stuck with Stroud, can I manage to roll out Marv, Tyreek Hill, and at least 2 of Stroud's weapons? I know I already have Schultz, but I'm not counting that. Like, can I get 2 of his receivers? You know what I mean? Like, can I get Diggs and Dell for Flowers and Cooper, and I'll send a second just to get the stack? But I'm trying to do something like that if I'm rolling with Stroud.
Sounds like a plan. All right, let's so we've got 2 guests who are going to be coming on in 9 minutes at 9:30. And we will do a little swap and we have an announcement, but let's hammer through a few more hammers, guys. All right. These are like 1s and 2s. First one is from Lil Jets fan. Thank you very much. Shane, this is a 12-team super flex, half PPR, full PPR for the tight ends, start 9. Watson, Bryce, Fields, Nix at quarterback, Brees, Saquon, Javonte, Kendre Miller, and then we have, and Jalen Wright as well. Neighbors, Rice, JSN, Godwin, Deontay Johnson, Pearsall, and then you have Laporta, McBride, Kincaid at tight end. All picks plus an extra 25 first and 25 second. The trade is send Kincaid for Ayuk in a second. After 3 years of a rebuild, looking to contend by trading a tight end for a wide receiver and or QB upgrades. So cleaning it up, 12-team super flex, half PPR, small tight end premium, start 9, so shallow. Does have all of that tight ends value sitting there with Laporta, McBride, and Kincaid, but would you sell Kincaid for Ayuk in a second?
He does need wide receivers. And just even if you want to go with, well, which one could I flex? I believe you will flex Ayuk over Kincaid, and even in a 1.5 point tight end premium. Kincaid scored 9 points last year, 9.4 a game. I'm just saying, it's not like
it's
he had
a 1 PPR versus a half PPR. I'm rolling with these 3 tight ends, and I am changing the tight end market. I am not settling for a.
That's fine. Start them because you'll fucking lose. Because Kincaid isn't that good. I mean, it's just that simple. And I don't look. I got a lot.
Okay. I don't disagree with you.
We're treating Kincaid like he's McBride or Laporta, and he's not. I mean, again,
I have
decent rookies.
Nothing going for me in life except for one thing. I'm not going to give that up to make my life a little bit better. That's what you're doing here. You're trading for Ayuk in a start 9.
You are getting
I'm just not doing that right now. I want something better. I want to add to a tight end to get something better. Yeah, I'm not taking Ayuk in a second. That's just kind of devaluing my advantage, but not really helping my team.
Yeah. Kincaid, a quarterback has to be in the conversation. Like, can you tack Kincaid on to Watson or Bryce?
What do you think you're getting with Watson and Kincaid? What?
I know. I'm still just. I can't wait to rewatch.
This is a weird team.
You were like, just freaking play him and you'll lose.
I'm sorry. Look, I like Kincaid, so I don't want anyone blasting me, but he's good. I don't know what his upside is, so let me just leave it there. But I don't think on the market that Kincaid and Watson's going to be as much of an upgraded quarterback as you would like it to be. Like, I have a feeling like if you used Bryson Kincaid, you could upgrade to Watson for whatever that's worth. So figure out the trigonometry there and the math there, and then get back to me because I don't know what it is.
Roger. Scott, this is 2 hammers from Luke. Thank you very much. It is a 10-team, 1 QB, PPR, start 8, ultra shallow, defending champ. Congrats on that. Dak, Daniels, Fields, Baker at quarterback, Brees, Moss, Chase Brown, Eckler, Brian Robinson, Zeke, and then has CD, Amon-Ra, Flowers, Rice, Coleman, Shakir, Douglas at wide receiver, and then Hawkinson and Kmet at tight end. What to do about my running back room? Unsure of Cincy, Washington, and Dallas running backs. Should I move for a better RB2? Will Kmet be good enough with Hawkinson out? Okay, so very shallow. 10-team, 1 QB, start 8. What to do about the running back room is the main question.
Yeah, and honestly, the running back room isn't the biggest problem here. You do have Breece Hall. If you can just get – the good news is you have the entire backfield for the 3 other teams. So you should be able to piece together, especially one of Brown or Moss should be fine. Eckler, B-Rob should be fine. Can I upgrade? Sure. But I don't think adding Eckler or Moss to a deal is getting – they don't count as an upgrade in a start 8 or start 8. Neither does probably even Chase Brown or Brian Robinson, to be honest. So I think you're better off just rolling with that. Breece is the piece that holds your running back room together here. I'll just say real quickly, the tight end room is where you're bleeding out points on this team by starting Cole Kmet. I mean, I don't know if anyone saw the reports that Gerald Everett is right there with Cole Kmet, and he's already on a team where he's at best, Shane, the 6th option. I mean, if I'm starting Cole Kmet on a team like this, I'm literally probably giving up 6 to 8 points a game at tight end to most of my competition. So that's what I would want to address. Can I move Brian Robinson or Chase Brown for a better tight end and just bet on the one that I have? Like, that's probably what you got to do. Or Shakir or someone like that. But yeah, you got to upgrade at tight end here.
Yep. Okay. We have a couple guys backstage. Gentlemen back there, look forward to talking to you soon. We are going to do one more holy private chat thing. Oh, okay. You guys are talking back there. All right. I was like, what am I doing wrong? What am I doing wrong? Okay. Last one. Thank you for those hammers, Luke. We are going to Kyle S. Shane, starting with you here, sir. 10-team Superflex, half PPR, full PPR for the tight end, start 11. You've got Kyler, T-Law, Bryce, and Russ at quarterback. Najee, Zamir, Brain Rob, Jerome Ford at running back. JJ, Neighbors, DJ Moore, Flowers, Pickens, Diojon at wide receiver, and then McBride and Fant at tight end. As all the future picks. Home league just completed the startup. Feeling good about the team, but first time for a 10-teamer. Knock me down a peg. Are the running backs good enough to get by in a 10-teamer? Okay. What do you think here, Shane? 10-team Superflex, start 11, half PPR.
Probably not, but I'd be more concerned with the QB2 position because T-Law is a back-end QB1. He's not special. He's not unique in any way. He's just extraordinary. You do have depth at the running back position, though, right? You have Najee, Zamir. I don't know why I was just going to repeat them. Everyone can read. So, yeah, you have depth at the running back position. So, you know what? I'm probably fine with your running back position. Could you use a legitimate RB1? Sure, but what's the cost for that? You know, can I get a legit RB1 for a second? No, absolutely not. So you already have multiple running backs that you can start in a given week that you'll be fine with. Like I said, I'd prefer to try to upgrade at QB if possible. But yeah, I think this team can compete. I like JJ, Neighbors, and Moore. That's a pretty good trio at the wide receiver room. In the wide receiver room. Whatever the proper wording of that is.
That'll work, man. That'll absolutely work. Quick thought, Scott, before you leave, sir.
Yeah, there's like 3 running backs in Dynasty that should hold any value past literally the week where they have a job. So this will get by in a half PPR. You have 2 you can start. You probably flex at least one of them. A guy like Jerome Ford is good until he's not. But I'm just as concerned at starting like George Pickens in a league like this. You know what I mean? Like it's Deontay Johnson in a half PPR. Like this is just a team where if you can upgrade anywhere, then sure. It does feel like probably a 3rd or 4th, 5th place team, though. So you should try to send some upgrades, but I don't think it's running back that's your biggest problem. I think receiver and running back and potentially QB2, like Shane said. All of them. Get working, Kyle. Thanks for the question.
Thanks indeed. All right, Scott, Shane, you guys are gonna be heading out. You're still very much part of this next project in terms of. Yeah, man, part of the mothership. So we'll say bye for now, though. We'll get these other 2 guys.
All right.
In here.
See everybody later. Bye.
All right. Love you guys. All right. So let's get. All right. Hey everyone. Let me put this overlay on. So we do have 1,000 people still watching, which is fantastic because this is a big announcement that I should have made bigger. But let's throw these guys in here. All right. What's up, dudes? So we've got Mr. What are you doing in here, Scott?
He snuck back in.
Did you see Scott screwing with us? All right, so we have got Theo, the OG Fantasy, over on my left. Look at that good-looking guy, and then Coupe Fiasco on my right. What's up, gentlemen?
What's going on? What's going on, Clay? Excited to be here, man.
Yeah. What's happening? So this one, everyone in the crowd. Let me just throw this up. Then I'm going to get it out of the way, but. This makes sense, right? A little redraft in 5. Ooh, yes. Redraft in 5 is happening, and it is going to be with these 2 guys who are on either side of me. Scott, myself, and Shane are not even going to be on camera. For redraft in 5, it's going to be a completely separate channel. Completely separate from Dynasty Trades in 5. Keeping it clean, 2 different spots. So stoked to have Theo and Coop on this. I mean... Alan Seslowski and Theo were the first I talked to. Seslowski had something going on. I don't know, something cooler than this. No, but I was like, Theo, we need another one. And he came up with Coop super fast. And yeah, any rec coming from Theo made it easy. They've been busting their asses. You guys talk. I got to stop talking. We're excited here.
Yeah, so I mean, we talked about this early in the year, and Coop and I have podcasted together maybe 100 times at this point. It's really, really a lot of respect for what you and Shane and Scott put together with Dynasty Trades in 5, and was really excited when you approached me about doing redraft in 5. And Coop and I have always looked for like a project to do together, so this was a no-brainer. Player Profiler, Fantasy Alarm, we're coming together doing this little side piece with yourself, and I think we're going to bring the same sort of actionable, sharp content that you guys have done on the Dynasty side to the redraft side. And we're going to do a couple of things that are your audience is familiar with. We're going to help out with your redraft trades and some other stuff. But Coop, yeah, I mean, we're fired up about this. We've been meeting about this, setting this up. Yeah, I'm going to kick it over to you, my guy.
Yeah, I'll tell you, because you and I, like you said, we've been doing this since forever. In fact, your original podcast, the OG podcast, was one of the first few I was even on, dude. Back when I had a microphone that I would stand up on an ironing board because I didn't have any sort of setup, dude. It was just a kid talking ball, and we've been talking ball ever since, and looking for an opportunity to do this, but we needed the right audience, right? Like, and it just so happens that you've cultivated this incredibly sharp audience of gamers. I mean, I was watching the guy putting up a 10 by 11 league, right? It's like sharp gamers. They care about getting every last edge because that's the kind of stuff we want to do. Like there's plenty. If people want casual content and they want, you tweet out top 10 or here's my top cool tricks or whatever, there's plenty of that out there. We wanted to have a channel with a sharp audience that wants actionable information. And it just so happens that, everyone that plays Dynasty also plays redraft. So we're here for you, baby.
100%.
We're here for you, right?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the whole Dynasty Trades in 5 and redraft in 5, it's, Theo and Coop are going to crush it, but it's going to be under the same value and brand quality as Dynasty Trades in 5. We're still not going to do intros. They're going to be able to promote their stuff and they have creative control like hell, but yeah, no intros. It's going to be good quality content, hopefully consistent, but we're stoked, man, and it makes sense, right? Anything else we need to say about this, or should we just start hitting some trades from the crowd?
No, I look for an announcement, but we're going to drop an episode next week, and I know it's not quite in-season content yet, but we're going to talk about some of our targets for redraft leagues, maybe some flag plants, maybe some things that we think can help you win in your draft. And then look for us every single week. We're going to be dropping an episode early in the week. We're going to be dropping a separate one, which is going to be a shorts for waivers. Try to get you all the waiver wire information you need in 10 minutes. So this is going to be a lot of fun. Really looking forward to working with Coop and you as well, Clay. And again, a big shout out to my guy Shane, my guy Scott. We all got a chance to hang out at the Fantasy Football Expo, but you guys have been crushing it for years. And I think we're going to do the same thing on the redraft side.
Yeah, and the last thing I'll say on it is that all this time, I do all these tight end articles. People follow what I have for advice, but I never really had a spot where I sit down and say, here's what I'm doing with tight end in my leagues, and do it on the day that waivers are coming out and make sure that that's in your hands in video. Like I do an article. I'm still going to do the article. I'm still going to do the tweets. This is where that's going to live. This is where you can pop in and say, hey, we went yin and yang tight end. I punted tight end. What do? I punt tight end all the time. I'm living it. So we're going to live it right here on that channel. So it's going to be very exciting. And we bring in obviously every position, but just want to make sure people know if they want that particular position taken care of, we'll go.
Yeah, man. Yeah, we got the tight end whisperer. So yeah, go over to it's at redraft in 5 on YouTube, or just type in redraft in 5, and let's get a couple subs right now, right? It's cool and humbling, let's say, to see 0 subscribers, but I'm stoked, man. Time to smash. Okay, let's get some trades from the audience. So you start throwing those in. I've got a couple starred though. Let's hit just to keep things moving. So Ethan 22 has an inbox offer here. So Theo, we'll start with you. This is trade Corum and Dylan Lobb, if I said that right, and a 27 fourth. That's important, for an early 26 second and a mid 26 third. The team is Hurts, Caleb, May at quarterback, Marv, Neighbors, Jaden Reed. Then you have Zamir, Javante, not the best team. Luckily, 425 first, 326 first. And this is a shallow 12-team Superflex start 9. What do you think here? The offer.
I'm going to take the Corum side. I'm going to take the Corum side fairly easily, especially with all the draft pick equity that he has lined up kind of in the bag with all those firsts. So getting that early 2026 second doesn't really do a whole lot for me. And with that running back room with guys like Zamir White and Javante Williams, that's like a not that impressive running back room. Blake Corum's also the kind of guy that all it would take is a Kyron Williams injury, and I'd have a window to sell Blake Corum for a first. So taking a second and a third for him seems like getting 95 cents on the dollar, if that, and he's a guy that would gain an exceptional amount of value. Kyron Williams could have another really strong year, but we're talking about a guy that's a sub 195 pounds, already a little bit banged up. Blake Corum, also a name brand. Scott Connor always talks about that. He's being able to flip a guy that everybody knows. Blake Corum, if he gets the opportunity, there's going to be people lining up to try to trade for him. So don't make the trade. Hold on to Blake Corum. And the Dylan Lobby, like, he's got a somewhat of a path this year based on the competition and the fact that you have Zamir White. You're essentially handcuffing him because Alexander Madison is garbage.
Any thoughts on this here, Coop?
Yeah, I'm on your side on this. And the other thing I'd throw in there is be very careful with people trying to sell you early picks that are off in the distant future, especially when you're giving
Right.
them running backs in the future. Like if is that this guy's pick and you're going to give him, Blake Corum and Dylan Lowby, and then all of a sudden next year, because we're talking about 2026, not even 2025. This guy is obviously that's trying to build, and especially with first round picks. The moment I trade my first round pick and I say, "Oh, my team sucks," it's going to be an early pick. I say to myself, "Man, I better be good so that that's not an early pick, right?" So
Sure.
anytime somebody's saying early to me, I know that they're planning to try and be winners. So be very careful with that.
Yep. Good call. I know. If only we could be Nostradamus and be able to see
Right.
what our 26 first
Yeah.
was going to be.
Like
It's like,
that-
ooh, I'm holding the 110 in 2026.
Right. Who is this guy that's trading his pick and saying, "Don't worry, my team's going to be bad forever"? Right? It's like,
Yeah. I love rebuilding.
Yep. So this is cool. People are saying subbed and subscribe to @redraft in
Oh.
5. So it's cool. We're gonna keep having some of those pop in. Evie Diz 17. Yeah, gave us a massive 10 hammer donation last week. Thanks again. Says
God.
the Gibbs owner traded me Monty last week because he didn't want both. Do I trade Monty back to him for twice what I paid?
100%. If you can get a huge premium on top.
What's
For
the price,
Monty,
though? What's the
yeah.
price? I always want to know what the price is, because if you got it for a crazy steal and he just wants him back at face value, I don't know. You know what I mean? I just came over from covering an FFPC draft, and last year I covered a $10,000 draft, and a guy took Monty and Gibbs in the 3rd and 4th round, and we were like, "Whew, this guy just spent 10 grand
Wow.
on to double up on a backfield." We thought the guy was insane. We thought he was outside of his mind. Turns out that two guys in the right situation, like 2017 Saints with Kamara and Mark Ingram, you can have two RB1s. So I would just make sure whatever that price is, you're getting back at least what he's worth, because especially now with Gibbs, with Gibbs out, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's Coop, you make a great point, because the Ben Johnson offense, it's been like back-to-back years of two running backs producing. Year before you had the Jamal Williams and DeAndre Swift backfield that did the same thing. But for me, it's a window of time where everybody's incredibly fearful of Gibbs' injury, and if somebody's willing to really overpay for a guy like David Montgomery, who it's going to be difficult, in my opinion, for David Montgomery to be maybe as efficient as he was last year. And he still is touchdown dependent, despite the quality of that offense that was just humming last year. So yeah, if I can on principle, if I can double up what I got for a guy in a dynasty trade in an entire week, I mean, I think I'm probably going to think about taking that one.
They said Jamal Williams scored 17 touchdowns in 17 games. That can't happen again. And then David Montgomery, besides the game he got hurt and hardly played, scored 13 touchdowns in 13 games. So maybe it can happen.
We love Ben Johnson. We love Ben Johnson.
I would say,
Sure.
if you're going to trade your David Montgomery away, just make sure you have the horses you need to win the league, and you're not just letting that guy win. You got to stop and win the league every once in a while.
Love it. All right. So T. Sandiford in the crowd, our boy Sandiford, who's on our team here at Dynasty Trades in 5, has a good question. How much are you looking to stack in redraft? And let's assume it's our stock format that we always go off of: 12 team super flex with a tight end premium. You're starting 10, not including kicker and defense. How much do you guys want to stack in this format? Whoever wants to start, go ahead.
I'll go on this one because I personally only use it as a tiebreaker. And I will do that, especially when I get later in the draft. If I'm sitting there and I say, okay, there's not a huge difference between Javon Baker and this other guy, but I'm not stacking Javon Baker with Drake May. I'll take the other guy. It's like I use it as a tiebreaker, but I'm almost never going to reach rounds, and I'm almost never going to take a worse player. In my opinion, if one player is worse than the other, I'm not going to do it just to get some sort of correlation, especially if it's a 10 or 12 team league. Maybe if you're playing FFPC or a giant tournament or something like that, then I will do it where you need those correlations. But in a 10 or 12 team league, you don't have to go out of your way. What do you think?
I think Coop, you nailed it. If it's a tournament and you're playing for big money where you have to have, a little bit of unique and be able to kind of amplify what you can do in like a 3-week stretch, then correlation and stacking matters a lot more. I think in a 12-team league, correlation when you don't have to pay for it, like a one player correlation, like a quarterback and one receiver, like a tight end or a wide receiver or even a pass catching running back, that makes sense. But doing one of these mega stacks that we see in like an FFPC or NFFC build is completely unnecessary when we're talking about redraft. A little bit of correlation, always okay, but like Coop said, never reach for it.
Right. You never know when you're going to have a game like the 49ers against the Cardinals, where Christian McCaffrey scores 4 touchdowns, and now your Purdy, Kittle, Debo stack just
Didn't
absolutely
do a damn
face,
thing.
yeah, just face plants. And look at that, dude. We already got a redraft question in here, dude. Let's go. Let's go.
Yeah, right. Yeah, good stuff. So if you have any questions, go ahead and put them up in the chat, and we'll try to pull them up as well. We're gonna go for another like 15 minutes or so. So let's go to a keeper question from Chub Knuckles here. And Josh, yeah, okay. Gotta keep 3. This is a 12-team Superflex PPR start 8. So very shallow here. Bijan in the first, AJB in the second, Goff in the 6th, Evans in the 10th rather, Achane in the 11th, Spears in the 14th. Keeping 3 of those, 12-team start 8.
It's a really, really difficult one. It's really hard to walk away from Devon Achane in the 11th, though, in any sort of a keeper format. That's almost like stealing money. So I think he's absolutely a given there. You can eliminate Spears. Evans, because of his age and because of I'm probably going to eliminate Evans and take him out of the equation. So, Coop, we have to cut down Bijan in the first, AJ Brown in the second, Goff in the 6th. Superflex, Goff in the 6th feels like extreme value right now. It's a tough one.
You have
Really
to do
tough
it. Unfortunately, not even necessarily unfortunately. I do worry a little bit that team with a better defense and a good running game doesn't need to throw like crazy. But in these keeper super flex leagues, man, the quarterbacks get so thin and the draft gets so quarterback hungry that if you don't pull an early first round pick, like if you keep Bijan and don't keep Goff, bro, you're cooked. I think you're actually like, how are you going to win that league not having a first round pick and also not having any quarterbacks? Like you're going to be in so much trouble. So I would go Achane. I would go Achane, Goff, and AJ Brown, but I don't know. I kind of want to pull Evans back on the table. You don't think? I mean, you go and look at Vegas. You go and look at Vegas. They say 1,000 yards, nine touchdowns again. That's like, if you're bet against it, you're gonna bet against it, Theo.
No, I mean Mike Evans is chasing Jerry Rice this year. If he gets 1,000 yards, he ties the all-time record for consecutive 1,000-yard seasons with Jerry Rice. It just seems like, I don't know, it just seems like that great value maybe we're passing up. AJ gives us like AJ's
1,500 yards back to back automatic.
Yeah, and AJ also with Kellen Moore, I think not enough people are talking about there's a possibility that AJ Brown is a wide receiver 1 overall and just goes absolutely nuclear this year. Mike Evans, again, I think last year was definitely towards like the ceiling range of outcomes. Chris Godwin getting a little bit better usage in this offense. And I don't know, it's a really tough one. I wish I could be more emphatic about this one, Coop, but I could go a couple ways on that.
Yeah, it's tough, man. But it's like, yeah, I guess the one other argument is that now you have to take a quarterback in the first round almost because there's going to be so many keepers, and your second round pick is now AJ Brown. I keep AJ Brown. Keep the he's Mike Evans is not going to have 1,500 yards the way AJ Brown just did twice, and we know that the ceiling's actually even higher than that. Go with AJ Brown. Keep the best players.
Got to try to get the hammer in the start 8, right? Okay, let's go to this one from Zach Harris, and he also said subscribe and look forward to the future content. Yeah, it's a redraft in 5 on the YouTube machine. Okay, inbox offer 12-team Superflex PPR start 13. Here's a deep format here. Bo Nix, a projected early 25 first, a mid to late 25 first, or Jamar Chase.
Jamar Chase side for me.
Got to be Chase, yeah.
Yeah.
Bo Nix looked, he had some crisp passes this weekend, and I think that's what this guy's trying to pull on you. I don't know. The one argument that can be made is the depth of the format, but I think Jamar Chase. There's a world where now that Tyler Boyd is gone, Jamar Chase is used in the kind of that slot role that where you play slot and then you move outside for only 200 snaps. Cooper Kupp, all-time best fantasy season. He ran the fourth most routes in the slot in the league. CeeDee Lamb last year ran the fourth most. It was just a coincidence. Ran the fourth most routes from the slot. Now that slot's open, if they want to go Higgins on the outside and Jermaine Burton on the outside and Chase in the slot, boy, he could be in line for one of those all-time great seasons.
I mean, yeah, I think Coop and I are both in line on the Chase side. I will say it's a good offer though, Clay, because
Clay, you didn't sound like looking at your facial expression. You don't
No.
you like the next side.
Start 13 is obnoxious. You're looking for beating hearts.
Right.
Live human beings, human NFL players. I'm not giving up a 4-for-1 in a start 13, especially if one's projected to be an early 25 first. I don't really care about the Bo Nix thing, but I can't do it without saying the rest of the team. He would have to be so freaking stacked to where Jamar Chase is just going to put him over the edge. You have so many assets in the start 13. I just don't see it.
But the format plays into it. But again, now you're saying to yourself, I'm not going to win this year. And that part of me, it hurts my little heart to have to say that.
I'll say if Jamar Chase has the sort of season that we think he can have, he's already super insulated in terms of his dynasty value, that flipping him for this sort of value, like this sort of trade, even though it's a very generous one, it's probably going to be there. Like if Jamar Chase gets hurt tomorrow and misses the entire season, he's still worth 80% of this trade probably in this format. So he's very, very insulated.
Oh, I see from Jalen Ramsey here. We answered a hammer of his earlier, and he says, "Hey, can you answer the second part of the hammer question?" I guess I probably totally glossed over it. How do y'all start wide receivers differently when they facing against me? No rush. LOL, it's a stupid question. I literally just got it right now. Oh my god, that's so bad. That shows how off I am right now. How do you start them differently when they're facing against me? Jalen Ramsey. Nicely done. Nicely done. Well done, sir.
Do I actually answer?
Got you, Clay.
Yeah, because I guess that depends. If you're the start 13, then I'm not even looking at matchups. You know what I mean? Matchups are not even coming into play.
No way.
Because the elite guys, you're starting them, and the bad guys aren't getting covered by shadow corners. So you just start whoever you got.
Yep. Here, let's do this. Let's hit a hammer question that's in the hopper, because this is from someone who gave us 5 of them. So $25. It's buymeacoffee.com/tradesin5 to get your question answered on a stream. We have 2 very worthy people to answer it here. Thank you very much, someone. The anonymous donation. 10-team Superflex PPR start 11. Anthony Richardson, Kyler Daniels at quarterback. Bijan, Brees, Achane, Kamara, Rico. And then has JJ, CD, Amon-Ra, Marv, Tyreek. Come on here. Garrett Wilson, Neighbors.
It seems a wag.
Then we have McBride, Musgrave at tight end. 525 first. I mean, just this league is going to fold. So let's get rid of the 227 seconds or 27 first you have right now. He says, pay to brag, but is my construction right? 3 quarterbacks, 7 wide receivers, and he can only start 6 max, 2 tight ends, and the rest running backs. With all those assets, should I overpay that for anyone that would make a difference? He says, just sent Hurts for a 25 first second, and then a 26 first second. And then he's got he just lays out a trade there. Absurd team here. Theo, we'll start with you. 10-team Superflex start 11. Just an obnoxious team. And what are you doing with it?
I mean, it's pretty Teflon. It's really hard to find any real holes with this team. I think potentially you've got all these hammers already. It's hard to recommend another hammer. I think with this team, I'm probably going to look to maybe upgrade to like a Josh Allen with one of these guys, like move from Kyler Murray to like a Josh Allen, like a guy who we've seen finish as QB1 overall multiple times versus a guy that I'm very bullish on, but does not necessarily have that as high of an outcome as a guy like Allen. I might be looking to really pivot up to like true hammers there, where, Anthony Richardson, Kyler Murray, Jaden Daniels, all, top-notch players that are going to be finished as QB1s, but maybe look to move one. Kyler stands out just a little bit because of the injury history, where I could try to move him with maybe some of these draft picks or potentially a Rico Dowdle and a draft pick package up and try to move to a higher quarterback. That would be my only suggestion, because this guy can pretty much do whatever they want, Clay, with this roster. There's no real holes.
He's got Marv, so that's the only reason.
I wouldn't have wanted to trade. I don't know why you traded away Jalen Hurts. Should have just kept him.
Yeah.
You don't need picks ever.
Yeah, traded Jalen Hurts for a couple firsts and a couple seconds and Musgrave.
I would have kept Jalen Hurts. And what I guess the other thing I might do is maybe shore up the tight end a little bit. Because the thing with Musgrave is that he's not every tight end one in PPR last year was a top 2 target on their team. That's not always the case, but we've been trending that way for a while. The vast majority of guys get there with targets versus touchdowns. And Luke Musgrave, I think he's a better pass catcher than Tucker Kraft, but they could be doing 2 tight end sets. They could rotate, and they have like 4 incredible wide receivers. So if McBride goes down, that's an obvious glaring weak spot. I might just try and grab, even if it's an older guy, somebody that you feel really comfortable with putting in there if something happens,
Yeah, they might have.
I mean, the team is incredible.
They might have kept the league afloat by trading away Hurts, giving somebody a little bit of hope.
Yeah,
right just there. That might have been like, keep the league going, get my money this year with more entries and all that.
Yeah, a big part of the question was pay to brag, but is my construction right? Honestly, and with your team, how it is, right? Just try to get all the best fantasy football players on your team at this point. Whatever you can do. He says, with all those assets, should I overpay for anyone that would make a difference? The answer is yes. I mean, what can you do to make your roster better here? And there's not a whole lot you can do. Don't worry about construction. Just get the best football players. Okay, let's see. So we will remove that. Thank you for those 5 hammers, and we'll go back to the crowd. We can go for another 5 or so minutes. Yeah, Sean Green here said, team is so loaded. He probably got bored and traded Hurts. Yeah. Okay, let's see. I don't see anything. Let's go to things that were starred from earlier. Okay, this was from, Hub-a-dub. Okay, that wasn't as hard as I made it there. I was like shaning that one. Okay, strategy question. Does playing in an Empire League where 3 rings are needed for the pot change, 3 rings are needed for the pot, change your style of drafting or roster construction in any meaningful way? I don't play in any Empire Leagues. Who wants to take this one?
I'll say that needing 3 rings to get paid out in an Empire League is that's a really tough putt. Like, I think a lot of the Empire Leagues now have to win twice in a row to take down that really big pot. That makes it a little easier for your windows. Like, I'll say an Empire League where you need to win 3 years in a row to qualify for that massive amount of money. I probably am looking to take on a little bit more youth equity at the beginning, especially in my builds, because that short-term window guy that's past the age apex, that 30-plus wide receiver, that 29-year-old running back, those guys literally have such a short shelf life that it's not necessarily as helpful to me in this sort of format. Assuming it's super flex, I'm also going to put a ton of value in getting those elite quarterbacks that I think can sustain for years. I think that would be sort of my window, is having 2 top 5 quarterbacks. And then on top of that, having just incredible wide receiver play that can kind of sustain. But 3 years in a row, that's a hardcore Empire strategy.
Right.
It's never gonna cash. It's like a triple crown.
This one person in the chat said 3 even non-consecutive. That makes more sense. Like,
that would make more sense.
Okay.
3 in a row is 3 rings are needed. Oh, okay, yeah. So 3 rings are needed. Well, so the one other thing I'll add, and Theo and Clay, I'm sure you guys have run into this being kind of public-facing people, is that you, as somebody who watches this show and takes this very seriously, your league's already pretty wary of trading with you. right? And like Theo, I would like if Theo sends me a trade, I'm like, okay, I got to really look in and see what's going on here. Same thing with my leagues, my home leagues. They're like people don't want to trade with me, right? The moment you win one or especially two, no one's trading you a quarterback and no one's trading you a running back. You might be able to get tight ends or wide receivers, but no, make sure those positions are taken care of because if you have two rings, I'm not giving you a quarterback ever, right? So make sure that's taken care of first and foremost. That you have, and especially with running back where these guys age out, make sure you're taking care of those early because again, you're not going to be able to find them.
I pulled off 2 trades recently, though, not to flex my dynasty trades, but to flex
go
my
ahead.
dynasty trades.
I'm not trading with you, dude.
I traded
Good
in a
shot.
start 10 single QB FFPC league. I traded a Zach Moss and a Cole Kmet, which I know that you guys will all be excited about me moving a Cole Kmet share. But I did it with Zach Moss's short-term window. Got a David Njoku. I was really stoked about that one. And I made a big trade for Malik Neighbors. I traded, this one was Ken Walker. This was George Pickens, Ben Sinnott, and a 2025 third in a single QB FFPC league to consolidate and get that hammer in Malik Neighbors. So I was proud of that one, Coop. Really proud of it.
If they're trading for Cole Kmet, they don't follow me.
No, absolutely not. Coop, I don't think he's got the second overall target on the Chicago Bears in the range of outcomes this year with that mob that they put together over there. And Gerald Everett playing ahead of him is wild.
Yeah.
I said it on your channel 2 weeks ago, dude. Matt Kelly asked me for my hottest take. I said, don't be shocked when Gerald Everett flat out outscores Cole Kmet. Don't be shocked because Shane Waldron loves those rotations, and he personally has known Gerald Everett for 8 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a quick sign. Okay. Chase Weber has a question for us. AJ Brown or London and a late 25 first. We don't have format. Let's assume it's a 12-team superflex start 10, like medium depth.
I'll take the London and the 2025 first. I think that it's difficult to make that deal because we talked about AJ Brown in a complete smash season, but I do think Drake London, this is the breakout year for him where we're going to see 150 targets. We've seen Kirk Cousins carry multiple wide receivers throughout the years. The scoring could be closer between Drake London and AJ Brown than like I would project. And I also get that 25 first on top, and I get extremely young, where AJ Brown, besides Tyreek Hill, is the oldest wide receiver on Keep Trade Cuts, top 24 right now. So I love AJ, and AJ has contract insulation, but he's a little bit older. Drake London, 23 years old.
Right. And when you have a first round pick in play, I always ask myself, what are the odds I lose specifically because I have London instead of AJ Brown?
Mm-hmm.
Like, what are the odds that is the one difference maker? I don't know. I think it's for the first. Roll a dice.
Yeah. And it always comes down to league economy too. Like if firsts aren't worth a crap and 90% chance that you're going to have to make that pick on the clock, different situation, but yeah, 100%. Otherwise it's package if there's any kind of activity. Boys, let's call it. To everyone in the crowd, we have 1,355 folks watching right now, which is kick ass. Definitely excited about the about redraft in 5 is gonna be awesome with these guys. Super stoked about it. I'll do my best from the back end to distribute it well for the community because the content will be there. So would you guys like to say bye to our crowd?
Take it, Coop.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna sneak one in there real quick. Saw somebody asking a sleeper tight end to target in Dynasty who may
Go
not
for it,
cost
man.
much. Very cheap to acquire Greg Dulcich and maybe even throw Lucas Kroll on the bench behind him. Those two guys are vying for a possibly relevant spot. So that's it. That's it for me. Sean Green, get him in there.
And I'll say I saw somebody throw out Hunter Henry in the chat. I have a bunch of Hunter Henry.
Boy.
I know Coop, you were fond of him as well, but in terms of like his cost based on what he's going to give you potentially over the next 2 years, and if New England's offense takes a step forward in 2025, Henry should be there. So I think Hunter Henry, that's a guy that I have on a ton of FFPC rosters right now. And you can get him for like a third rounder. I think a lot of people are just really don't care about having Hunter Henry on their roster. But yeah, big shout out to your entire audience, Dynasty Trades in 5 audience. Come check us out. Coop and I are going to drop one next week. Really excited about this project we're doing here. I think it's going to be absolutely awesome. And I'm really looking forward to it. Big shout out to your audience.
Yeah. Shout out, gang.
Cheers.
Can't wait to get on with y'all.
No doubt. All right. I'm going to end this stream. Subscribe to youtube.com/@redraftin5, and we'll see you over there as well. All right. Have a good night, everyone. Cheers.